This is Ross Marquand, Aaron from The Walking Dead, and you're listening to the 365Flicks podcast.
Geek Speak, the definitive 365 cut. These are the meaningless ramblings of a Scottish redone whore and a pissy ex-video store clerk. Their ongoing mission is to set right the movie wrongs. They're gonna need a bigger podcast.
The monsters will come, the ones out there, and you won't be able to run away when they come for you. And they will tear you apart and eat you up, all while you're still alive. All while you can still feel it. And then afterwards, no one will ever know what happened to you.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 33.5. Point 5 you ask? Why point 5? Well, that's because this is going to be a mini episode pretty much just involving our interview with Ross Marquand. I know we played this in episode 33, which was our Walking Dead recap, season 6 episode 13, the same boat. However, not everybody is caught up with that, not everybody will get caught up with that, and we wanted to put the interview out there before we go to Newcastle on the weekend of the 19th and 20th, where we're going to be meeting Ross Marquand. It's a Showmasters film and Comic Con down in Newcastle at Metro Radio Arena. We're going to go and meet the guy, but we got the chance to do the interview before we went. I just wanted to put this out as a mini episode. It's only going to be about 20 minutes long, just so everybody could hear it. Anybody who was going could hear it. Anybody who wanted to hear what Ross has to say, which, by the way, there is some pretty good stuff. We try and get a couple of spoilers in there, but man, was he keeping it tight-lipped. If you are heading down there this weekend, there's quite a few big names, good names going, proper cult people that you'd want to meet. You've got the likes of Ian McNeice, who's in a lot of Doctor Who. He was in Ace Ventura back in the day when Nature Calls. Rico Ross from Aliens is going. He played Private Frost, one of the Colonial Marines. Can't wait to meet him. He's got a back catalogue which is a mile long, so he'll be good to meet. Devin Murray, the Harry Potter franchise, so he'll be good to meet. Played Seamus, the little Irish kid who does the spell and it all backfires. You got Claire Higgins, been in a lot of Doctor Who as well. Paul Freeman, who I cannot wait to meet. Remember Paul Freeman? The man played Ivan Ooze back in the day in the Power Rangers movies. Chris says I should be happier that he was in Raiders of the Lost Ark, but the man was Ivan Ooze. He'll be cool to meet. There's also a couple of Game of Thrones people going. You got Toby Sebastian, he played one of the Martells in the last series. He was awesome. And then you got Hannah Waddingham. She was in the whole Cersei shame scene, which was again awesome. They'll be awesome to meet. Hattie Hayridge, who played the female Holly, Red Dwarf. Cannot wait, because that's just a cult program that nobody can forget about. But again, that's the 19th and 20th of March. I personally am most looking forward to going to see Ross Marquand, get that man's autograph. He did this interview for us. We couldn't believe it. We got him on the phone. It was just such a blast. And I just want to say thank you to him. Putting this out there purely because the main episode has got a few spoilers in it for the episode. Not everybody wants to hear them because they haven't seen the episode yet. So this is your chance to listen to that interview and just get a little bit of get the cut of his jib. And the man was an absolute gentleman. Thanks again to Jill at Showmasters. She was fantastic for getting the interview sorted. And yeah, so interview already in progress. Enjoy, people.
So how are you doing today?
Fine. How are you guys?
Excellent. Yeah, we're very well, thank you. Yeah, we've been looking forward to this all day.
Terrific. So, are you guys all caught up on the show?
We are. Yes, we watched the episode last night.
Great.
Okay, it was all very good. All very good.
Last night's
Good. I haven't seen it myself. They didn't have Sky in the hotel we're staying at, so unfortunately, I'm gonna have to watch it when I get back, I think.
Yeah, we were very, very impressed with last night's episode. No Aaron though.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a more Maggie and Carol heavy episode for sure.
Yeah.
But can I just ask quickly before we crack on? Is it Aaron or Aaron?
Aaron, I suppose. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Just because we say it quite differently.
Oh yeah, it's all right.
I just want to clear that up.
Yeah, no worries.
We do a film and TV podcast, and when The Walking Dead started back, we've been doing like a reaction review to The Walking Dead each week.
Great.
So obviously in the UK we get it on a Monday night, so we do it on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
We're going live tonight on a platform called Blab, and it's quite good. It's like a little interactive platform.
That's great.
with respect to yourself, obviously you're in the UK right now, touring some of the Showmasters Comic-Con events.
Yes, we just got done with Bournemouth, and we're going to be heading up to Newcastle next week, or this weekend rather.
Yeah, we're heading down to Newcastle to meet you there.
Oh, great.
Yeah, we'll certainly be sure to come up and shake your hand and see how it's going.
Please do.
The first question I wanted to ask you: are you going to be there on the Sunday as well? Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be there both days.
Are you fully aware that it's probably the worst day to be in Newcastle?
Is that right?
Yeah, it's there's a what do they call it? A Tyneside derby?
Northeast derby. It's a football match. Are you aware of the teams that are playing on Sunday?
Oh, so it's going to be pretty mental up there, huh?
Yes, it is a little. It does get a little bit mental. It's Newcastle versus Sunderland, and basically they're old enemies going right back to the English Civil War.
Oh man!
So when they have their derby, it tends to get a little bit not riots or anything, but it gets a little bit raucous in Newcastle at times.
Oh my goodness! I can't wait. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, that's just to let you know where you're going down there on the Sunday, and that's that game's going on. I think it's half 1:30 kickoff. It is
1:30.
Yeah. So if you want to pop out to the pub to watch that'll be great.
I think that's where I'll probably spend my lunch hour there. That'd be great.
Yeah,
nice one.
Good stuff. So what, as Kev said just now, you're touring the UK doing the Showmasters events. So what do you enjoy most about attending the Comic-Con events?
Well, I think that, for me, since I was a fan of the show first, I started watching it that first Halloween episode in 2010, and I was instantly hooked. So I feel like, Josh McDermott and Michael Cudlitz and I have said the same thing, basically, which is we feel like we've won the fan lottery. We were fans of the show first, and now we're on one of our favorite shows. And it's just the most amazing feeling to, go to these conventions and meet fans who are genuinely excited to meet you and interact and talk about the show and talk about, your background and hear your theories. Of course, we can't really say too much. Because it's a tight-lipped show, but it's just the most amazing thing to have that interaction. I think 40, 50 years ago, you might have liked one of your actors and put up a poster of them on the wall, but you never got a chance to meet them. And I think that the great thing about what Showmasters does and what these conventions do for fans is that it allows them that face-to-face interaction that you wouldn't otherwise have.
Yeah, it's very much changing the culture of being what you would call, 20, 30 years ago, being a geek. It's totally changed it. The fact that we can come and meet you guys, I mean, this is what we enjoy about going to the cons. We kind of just last year, but it's great getting to meet you guys.
Well, absolutely, and I've gotten to meet some of my favorites as well. Over the years, I got to meet William Shatner at a convention a few years ago, and that was, the inner geek in me watching Star Trek growing up was highly satiated by me. And you meet all sorts of great different fandoms all over the world at these conventions, and it's just the most amazing thing because you realize these people that you've elevated to an obscenely high level of fame and whatnot, they're actually just really nice, wonderful people, and it's just kind of nice to have that interaction with them on a personal level.
Sure. So was William Shatner your favorite person that you've met?
He was one of them. I also would say I met Mike Tyson too. We had we shared a plane ride over for a convention in Ohio last year, and he was just the sweetest guy. You wouldn't expect it, based on what he does for a living, but he was the sweetest guy on the planet. He was actually a real nice guy.
Fantastic. Yeah, I would love to meet Mike Tyson, but obviously William Shatner, obviously, Definitely.
Absolutely.
So obviously you play Aaron on The Walking Dead. So what's your favourite part about playing Aaron?
Well, I think the thing that attracted me most to the character is that he's a guy who's been in these high-pressure situations before. Before the apocalypse began, he was working for an NGO in Western Africa, and he had drug lords and warlords pointing AK-47s in his face all the time, and he was in these pressure cooker situations where life and death was always highly in question. And I think that's people initially didn't know if they could trust Aaron because he seemed too comfortable and seemed too calm around Rick and his threats of violence. And he just simply said to him, I'm used to this. This is par for the course for me.
Sure.
And I think that gives him a bit of an edge on other people, other survivors in the apocalypse, because he's dealt with that long before the apocalypse even began. So for him, this new world is almost a return to normalcy in many respects.
Yeah, absolutely. that did definitely show in the TV show that, you know, when he met Rick and he had a gun pointed to his head and all that kind of thing. That definitely did come across.
Yeah, it was great.
So you say that you were a fan of the show first before you got on. You were a big fan. Were you also a fan of the material, or have you kind of separated yourself from the book sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I had read the part, you know, of course they give you fake scripts, so you're not really sure what you're auditioning for. But as soon as I booked the part, I glimpsed over the compendiums briefly at my buddy's house years before, because I was a huge fan of the show and I wanted to see kind of what was happening. And then I never really delved into it until I got the part, and then as soon as I did, I ran out to the bookstore, bought the compendiums, read through them as fast as I could, and it was mostly just to get an idea of who Aaron was and what made him tick. And after that, there were some spoilers that were being revealed for future episodes, and I said, I got to put this down because I want to, you know, as a fan myself, I want to genuinely be surprised, especially because, you know, there are, of course, deviations from the source material and the actual the show. So for me, it was just important to kind of maintain a level of secrecy within myself. So I got what I needed from the compendiums, and Kirkman's laid out these incredible characters for us. So he's laid out a really nice blueprint for all of us to follow. And then after that, Scott Gimple, our showrunner, said, you know, we would like you to color this character with your own ideas and with your own clues from the script, and just run with it. And that's the great freedom we've had on the show. I think all of us have.
That's cool.
That is cool. That is very cool. I mean, Aaron is a really solid character in the comics. So, what preparation did you do going into the role once you knew you got the part?
Well, for one thing, I researched the hell out of NGOs, and I wanted to see exactly what, you know, these. I mean, because you always read about people who go into these situations in Africa, and you just, you know, it's very easy to kind of. I think watch a movie on it, watch a documentary, and just, you know, assume that it's you know, pretty normal. But it must be terrifying going down to these areas where, you know, the society is literally in danger of falling apart every day. And the people who are in charge, these drug lords, these warlords, who, you know, literally walk around with AK-47s threatening people with violence on a daily basis, what that must do to your psyche, and then to maintain a healthy level of optimism throughout that. I mean, it must take an incredibly strong character to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that optimism and that positivity was what I wanted to, you know, focus on, you know, moving forward with the character. I wanted him to be just this obscenely nice, optimistic, diplomatic guy, and have like a positive attitude about him at all times. And on top of that, you know, of course, working with Jordan Woods Robinson, the guy who plays Eric, my partner, you know, we sat down the night before we shot our big scene together, and fleshed out exactly how long we'd known each other, how long we'd been dating, and you know, if we knew each other before the apocalypse. And of course, we decided we did, and it was great. It was great fun to kind of, you know, fill in the blanks where there weren't any clues to be had, and just make the characters our own. It was a lot of fun.
See, I love the sound of that, because you kind of, when you do have something as strong as the material that's already set out, it's great that you get your own sort of, like, you get to fill in the blanks yourself. I love that.
It was wonderful, yeah.
That sounds awesome.
It does. It certainly does. It certainly does. Yeah. So the show obviously has an amazing cast, an amazing main cast. Yourself included. So what was it like to be sort of elevated from just, you know, a temporary character up to part of the main cast?
It's amazing, you know, and I think it goes back to the fact that I started as a fan of the show. So, you know, to actually go from, like you were saying, a supporting character, and now to be a part of Rick's army, I feel great about it, for one, but also I just feel very humbled by it, because these are actors that I've come to really love over the last few years, and they're just the most incredible people to work with and to, you know, act across with. You know, it's a real joy.
I suppose coming into that, because I think Aaron came in round about, was it Series 5 or...
Series 5, yeah. Yeah.
So what was it like coming into a group of people who'd already worked together for like 4 seasons and gelled together? And I mean, was it strange, or because you came in sort of with Norman Reedus, didn't you? Sort of.
Well, Norman came in, I think, Series 2. Yeah. But it was. I think, you know, Norman had expressed the same thing, where he definitely felt like there was already a pretty cohesive unit there when he got onto the show.
Yeah.
And he used that. He used that sort of alienation. I think that's maybe why Scott teamed Daryl and Aaron up, because these are both men that have been on the outskirts for so long, partially because of their backgrounds before the apocalypse. And I think that's the great strength of this show, is that it teams up unlikely people. You would never expect Daryl and Aaron to be going out on missions normally, or hanging out, but somehow through this veil of this world, we get to see unlikely heroes become best friends, and it's a wonderful thing to see that.
On that note, with the you're saying like everybody kind of becomes best friends and all that. When we watch the show, it's a zombie apocalypse. It's very intense at times. It's very tense at times. It's a scary environment. I follow most of the guys on the likes of the Twitter and the Instagram, and you all backstage behind the set look like you're having an absolute blast.
Yeah.
So, with that in mind, do you have a favourite story about working, back set and what have you?
Well, I mean, there's on a daily basis, we just find ways to crack each other up. Michael Cudlitz, actually, the last episode, not the one from last night, but from the week before, the one where we're going to storm the satellite center. Michael Cudlitz and Seth Gilliam and I, Father Gabriel, we would just crack each other up in between takes doing impressions. I mean, a lot of people know that I do impressions, but not a lot of people know that Seth Gilliam and Michael Cudlitz do impressions. And Michael's an amazing Sylvester Stallone. Seth Gilliam does an incredible Robert De Niro, and we would just crack each other up in between takes, just doing that over and over again. Because when you're doing those intense, high drama and also, extremely stunt-heavy scenes, you have to keep your body loose. You have to keep your positivity up, because your body can get fatigued after a while, and if you're not taking care of your body and loosening up, that's where injuries occur. And we were really keen to kind of make sure that everyone's on a happy tip while they're going into the scenes.
Yeah, like I say, I do follow a few, and I quite like when you did that scene when you took on the compound. And yourself posted a Twitter picture when you killed that guy, which by the way was an awesome little scene.
It was
pretty cool. But you posted a picture like you'd given him a purple nurple.
Purple nurple, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's funny because the guy who I killed was actually Jake Arbor, who's one of our head makeup artisans, and he's a guy who's almost about 7 feet tall. He's an incredibly tall guy. Big guy. Looks a little bit like a wrestler version of Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin. But this is the sweetest guy too, and we've worked together for last 2 years, and it was just wonderful to finally get a chance to actually see him on screen, because people get to see what he does on the walkers, but not a lot of people get to see the man behind it. And it was wonderful to finally have him get a cameo, and I was very honored to work with him on that.
And kill him.
And kill him, yeah, of course.
There's nothing better than that.
Right, of course.
You mentioned your impressions there. Now, we were watching a few of your videos on YouTube, and wow. So how did you find out that you were able to do these? I mean, we were... we're watching your Al Pacino and your John Malkovich in particular had us absolutely cracking up. So how did you come across this about your ability to do this?
Well, that was, true. I've said it before, but that was really more born out of a desire to not get beat up by my brothers. I found that making them laugh and entertaining them if I could was actually a good way to deter them from beating me up. And having two older brothers who are 3 and 6 years older than you, they will relentlessly torment you. I'm sure anybody who has older brothers knows this. And I would watch, the Tonight Show with my folks sometimes if they let me stay up late enough, and I was always so blown away by how tickled my parents would be when they would watch guys who did impressions on that show. And so the first one I ever attempted was Johnny Carson, and I'm sure it wasn't very good. I was about 6 or 7 years old, and it was enough to get a laugh out of them, and I just kind of went from there. So after time, it was just something I did at parties for a laugh. But then after time, I realized you could actually develop a career out of it, and that's what kept me afloat during those thin years as a broke actor before I booked the show.
Sure. So do you have a favorite impression that you do?
I don't. It kind of depends on my mood, and sometimes, friends will tell me that my voice just, without even just kind of subconsciously goes there. I'll slip into a McConaughey or Harrison Ford without meaning to, but I think Kevin Spacey is he's got this sardonic, wit about him that's just so intoxicating, and I love watching what he's done on House of Cards as well.
House of Cards. I actually said that to Kev before we called earlier on. I would love to hear if you could do Kevin Spacey as Frank Underwood.
Well, I'm a little under the weather, but I'll try. I'm a little under the wood, so we'll try to do our best. But it's very nice, and I will try my very darndest because House of Cards season 3 or season 4 is coming up right now, and you need to watch it as soon as possible.
That's fantastic.
You mentioned a little bit earlier about the tight-lipped secrecy on the show. We were at Showmasters last year. We were at Newcastle, and we met Kate Dickie, who obviously she was on Game of Thrones for a while. And they were talking about some of the measures that they took to stop the spoilers getting out. Can you give us a little sort of insight into what The Walking Dead does to sort of keep us away?
It's just a healthy level of fear that we have on set. I think, it's a show much like Game of Thrones where people die all the time, and I think everyone is very keenly aware of how, fortunate they are to be working on it. So, and also, I think, regardless of job security, we're also concerned with maintaining a storyline that's compelling and captivating, and I think that kind of can come into what's the word I'm looking for? Jeopardy. It comes into jeopardy when spoilers are out there. I'm the type of guy who doesn't really like spoilers. If I see spoilers online for a movie or a book or a TV show that's coming up, I get kind of frustrated because I don't really want to know too much. I like the trailers that reveal very little about what's going to happen. I look for production value. I look for the actors that I want to see. I look for the writing, and outside of that, I don't really want much to be revealed. So I think all of us on the set are very committed to keeping our mouths shut because we know that our episodes will be that much stronger if there's a level of surprise going into it every time.
Yeah, definitely. So with that in mind, just between us, who dies at the end of the season?
Everyone. No.
Everyone. Wow.
No. It's truthfully, they play their cards very close to the chest in the show, and for me to speculate on that would be just as good as what you guys would come up with because we don't actually know. So it's that's a great question, and truthfully, it's just a matter of where the producers and where the writers decide to go. But I think that's what the great thing about this show is that you just never know which one of your favorite characters might go, and there's just no way of telling.
Yeah, this is what I absolutely love about it. I love how we have the material in the background, the comic book material, but Kirkman's remixes have been phenomenal so far. So when you do get a spoiler, it does, as a fan, it cripples you like.
It does, yeah. And I think it. I know this is in the age of the internet. It's very tempting to let out spoilers, and I know there's some people that like spoilers because it gets them mentally and emotionally prepared for what's coming. But for me, I think that part of, for me, like for example, when we talk about Game of Thrones, I had not read the source material, or not read the books before I watched the show. So when I watched that Red Wedding episode, I was blown away. I did not see that coming at all, and I think a lot of fans didn't too. So I can't imagine that would have had that as much weight or as much impact if I had known what was going to happen. So I'm grateful that our show deviates from the source material a lot because you just never really know where our show's going to go unless, of course, someone has spoiled it, which like I said, I thoroughly abhor. But yeah,
I like a good theory, but I hate a spoiler.
Exactly. I agree.
So you're obviously touring the UK at the moment. So when does The Walking Dead start filming season 7 then?
I believe that they head back to shooting end of April, beginning of May, I believe. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So not too long then. Not too long.
Not too long. Yeah.
So what would you like to see from Aaron in season 7?
Well, of course, I can't reveal if I'm going to be in season 10, but I think Aaron really has put a pause button on his recruiting duties for now, because he realizes that defense is the most important thing, and certainly in the last episode we see that Aaron is the first to volunteer and be a part of that charge into the compound. And moving forward, he's going to take on more of a soldier role. He's going to be much more of a warrior in this new world and help Rick defend Alexandria and all the people who are inside those walls, because we've seen time and time again in these last few episodes that there are a lot more threats than they ever thought were out there before.
Yeah.
And the world, as scary as it was just with the walkers, it's actually we're finding that the humans are much more terrifying than anything else.
I mean, that was one of my favourite moments of yours, saying about how Aaron's getting a bit more defensive, a bit more assertive. It was sort of, apart from when you'd done the kill in the compound, I loved it when you kind of shut Morgan down a little bit.
Yeah.
And you were kind of like, we defended it once, we'll defend it again. Absolutely loved that scene.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of fun to play that.
Right then, okay. So we know we're past 4 o'clock now, so we'll wrap it up and let you go.
Just one last question. I don't know if you've filmed the scenes yet or anything, but with the likes of Jeffrey Dean Morgan coming on the show, because I'm a massive Jeffrey Dean Morgan fan, and I'm looking forward to him coming in. Have you shared a scene with him yet, or is?
Oh, I really can't. I can't speak to that.
Yeah, I don't want to go into that territory. It's just kind of. I just want to kind of know what he's like on set, really.
Yeah, I have the most respect for Jeffrey Dean Morgan myself. I've loved watching what he's done in The Good Wife and Watchmen and everything he's done. He's just an incredible actor. So I really can't speak to that, but I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to that character.
Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of the one we've all been waiting for.
Definitely, yeah.
Most definitely.
But Ross, cannot thank you enough for coming on. I know we're against time, so we'll just kind of wrap it up there. And it's thank you for being so good for.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
And again, we're down in Newcastle this Saturday and Sunday, so we'll be sure to come up and say hello.
Yeah, please do say hi.
Aye, I'll tell you my theory when I see you.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'd love to hear it actually.
Just one last thing. When you get back on set, if you wouldn't mind telling everyone about the 365Flicks.
Okay. I will.
Just a little bit self-serving.
Oh, yeah.
Most definitely.
But we can't wait to see you on Saturday and Sunday. I'm assuming you'll be doing a talk as well.
Yes, I think they have it scheduled for two Q&As both on Saturday and Sunday.
Excellent. I'll probably sit through both.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
But again, thank you so much for doing this, and thanks for coming on. And Chris,
thank you very much, sir.
Thanks for having me on. All right, take care.